Make a big. It is 7 o'clock, and it is time for our city council meeting. And Mike, would you take the roll, please?
Collier Wise, Helwig,
Here.
Humphrey,
Here.
Price,
Here.
Sorensen, Ward, Wilson, Mayor Powell, Holland, Vice President.
Here. Could we all stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Has there had a chance to review both the special meeting and the regular meeting minutes of February 3rd?
Move approval.
First and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Do I slam this thing? I beat the heck out. Larger mallet. Mike or John, are there any changes to the agenda? Changes? Council, any additional changes? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approved agenda. Visitors to be heard. Okay, a little bit of reading. Persons addressing the council shall use the microphone at the podium. Please rise, raise your hand to be recognized. Go to the podium and state your name and your address. Members of the public may speak under visitors to be heard on any topic not on the agenda. Remarks are limited to 5 minutes and no decision will be made at this time. Public testimony will be taken at the beginning of each agenda item after the subject has been announced by the mayor, or in this case myself, and explained by staff. Any citizen who wishes may speak one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item. Public testimony will then be closed and the topic will be given to the governing body for possible action. At this point, only city council members and staff may discuss the current agenda items unless a council member moves to allow another person to speak and there is unanimous consent from the council. Questions from the council members, however, may be directed to the staff or a member of the public through the presiding officer at any time. So is there anyone who wishes to speak on something that is not on the agenda? Council, anything on the agenda? Okay. Then we'll go on to public hearings. Public hearing number 1, special daily malt beverage and wine license for the Vermillion Area Chamber of Commerce and the Development Company on or about April 2nd, 2020 at the Sanford Coyote Sports Center main competition court and concourse at 1101 North Dakota Street for annual banquet. And Mike, please, or should I announce? Go ahead.
We did receive a late request from the chamber to table this until the next meeting. There's some changes in the paperwork, I guess, with USD that they need to finalize and clarify. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike or Jim, since this is advertised, that should be open, receive any comments, and then I think the chamber would respectfully request that the council consider tabling it until your next council meeting. Okay.
So is there anybody from the audience who wishes to speak on this topic, on the special malt beverage? No one? Council?
Move to table. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is tabled. We don't have to set a date, do we? Okay. Item B, vacation of Alleyway lying between lots 1 through 6 and lot 7, block 74, Smith's Addition, City of Vermillion, Clay County, South Dakota. Alley between Forest Avenue and Harvard Street, 1/2 block south of East Main. And Jose, please.
Thank you. The city received a petition to vacate the alleyway that you mentioned. We do have a drawing here, an exhibit.
Oh, yes.
So we did receive a petition, as I mentioned, for this alleyway right here. It's located between Forest and Harvard, just south of Main Street and north of Summer Street. The alleyway, the petitions that we received were from all the 4 property owners, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and they were all signed in wanting to the alley to be vacated. In addition to that, the property owners also pass along the petition or notice of the vacation to all the utilities. that we typically have services from, private and city utilities. They did reply saying that they were in favor of the vacation, but they would like to have a 20-foot utility easement be reserved through the length of the alleyway. The alleyway is 20 feet wide. So essentially the entire alleyway would be reserved for utility easements. And as soon as that easement is reserved through the vacation process, that they would be agreeable to the vacation of the alleyway itself. The statute that the city has to follow requires a public hearing to be held by the council. At this hearing, there should be evidence and testimony from the property owners or anybody from the public that has a comment regarding this vacation. That allows them a moment, I guess, to voice their opinion. After the hearing, the city council may declare the alley vacated by a resolution passed by 2/3 of all the membership of the council. So in our case, we'd need to have 6 yes and 0 no's, just because of the people today. Staff, when looking at a vacation of an alleyway, staff does consider, besides the utilities, we do consider access to the properties, fire protection, and how the general traffic would navigate the area otherwise. As regarding access to the properties, all of the adjoining property owners did sign the petition. Right now, we do have this property owner and this property owner do have access off the alleyway, or they would require the alleyway. But regardless, staff assumes that since the property owners are the ones that signed the petition, they're the ones that are asking for the vacation, that they do realize that if the alley is vacated, that their access is affected. And they're aware of that. Regarding fire protection, staff did talk to the fire department. They do not believe that the area would be negatively impacted by the vacation of the alleyway. Right now, none of their fire apparatus they would utilize to fight fire in this area would actually fit or be able to be deployed within the alleyway. They would actually be deployed within the street, and as I pointed out in the drawing here, or the exhibit, the fire hydrants are located at the corners of the block, so it should be fine as far as fire protection. The fire department felt very comfortable with it. General traffic, the great majority of the traffic that uses the alleyway is going to be generated by those 2 property owners that I mentioned earlier. If traffic needed to be diverted for whatever reason, accident, road construction, whatever the case may be, we wouldn't be diverting traffic through an alleyway. We would actually be diverting traffic through to a street. So that could either be National, or it would actually be Summer, or even Lewis Street, depending on the amount of traffic that we're going to be diverting. Financial consideration, the city will be recording the vacation of the alleyway. This is going to be a $30 cost. With all that being said, administration recommends the vacation of the alleyway lying between lots 1 through 6 and lot 7, block 74, Smith's Addition, City of Vermillion, Clay County, South Dakota, and maintaining a 20-foot utility easement in the space occupied by the vacated alleyway.
Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on this topic, or this subject? Let's see. Anybody?
We have one of the lots there.
Please state your name and address.
My name's Steve Smith. We have one of the lots that he mentioned.
Yes.
And the reason we came tonight is that we wanted to support this idea. I think the alley is vacated. Cars going, if there are any cars, I've been there 2 years, I think I saw 1 car go through. So it's not used hardly at all, like he said. It's just the owners that are there. So I'm just here to support everything you said, okay? Yeah, I agree completely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else wish to speak on this topic?
Carson at 221 East Main, and just wanted, if you guys have any questions, I'd be willing to answer any right now about it, about the alley closure otherwise. We're excited about closing it and kind of finishing off and making it look nice with concrete and those type of things. Those are in the plans for this spring, so that's the reason why we're going to close it, and everybody else seemed to get on board because the little traffic, and it just, it's just kind of a little bit more to maintain, but you really don't have control over it type of thing. So any questions?
No?
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Council? Yes, Tom?
Thank you. This mic's a little hot, just so you know, Don. I'm talking to the guy back there. First of all, I'd like to thank Jose for an explanation of who all this affects. And I asked that question at noon, because sometimes people think if the whole neighborhood should be involved when something like this is going to be vacated, rather than what we were told is just the abutting property members. So that's been clarified. If there's any traffic that used to cut through there, it has to go to Summer Street, you know, maybe the people down on Summer would be interested, Summer and Harvard. But that said, let me ask you this, is this the public hearing, or do we move on here and then set one up?
This is the public hearing.
This is it?
Yep, it's been
Okay.
advertised as such.
Okay, and thank you for checking into with the fire chief on this, because there was a concern expressed on that when this first came up. Whether or not a truck could fit in the alley depends who's driving. Anyway, with that, I move that we approve the vacation.
Been moved and second. Any other discussion? Do we need to make a roll call vote? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous, so it's passed. Thank you. Okay, we have no old business. The new business is the Home Rule Committee charge, and John, please.
Thank you. Excuse me. This is a follow-up to some of the discussions you've had over the last probably 6 to 9 months. Last year, the City Council, we talked about home rule, and a home rule study committee was appointed. They reviewed the matter, and they recommended to you at your January 20th noon meeting to move forward with appointing an official home rule charter committee. And as we talked a little bit about at the last meeting, that committee, you decided to have 5 persons appointed to that with a council member as a liaison to it. There's an interest expressed in having that come before you in a timely manner so that it would be possible to have it in the November 3rd general election this year, at least as a possibility. And so one of the next steps in this was setting up a committee charge. We did draft a committee charge for you that was included into your packet. Generally, these charges provide sort of general guidelines, maybe some timelines to be met, things along that line. We don't get too specific with regard to meeting dates or number of meetings typically unless there's something specific to it. So if I may, I would just read the draft committee charge for the Home Rule Charter Committee. Develop a Home Rule Charter for presentation to and consideration by the City Council prior to August 1st, 2020. Should additional time be needed, the committee is requested to notify the City Manager. A Home Rule Charter should be developed that does not change the form of government from the City Council City Manager form. The committee will host multiple public meetings to receive input and educate the public on the Home Rule Charter. The City Council desires to place the question of adopting a Home Rule Charter before the voters of the City of Vermillion at the November 3rd, 2020 general election. A final report must be completed by March 1st of 2021. That was the draft committee charge that we prepared for your consideration. Certainly that's a draft, and there is no financial obligation to this, but we think it would be helpful to move forward with this process to have the council approve that committee charge. As we talked about last time, we have started advertising for individuals to serve in this committee. Interested individuals are asked to complete an expression of interest form available on the city's website or also at City Hall. And we anticipate that if we receive enough of those, that we would bring them to you at your next meeting on March 2nd for your consideration and appointment of individuals.
Thank you. Anybody from the public wish to speak about this? Okay. Oh, council, any comments? Yes, Julia.
So I sat on the study committee, and so I just wanted to point out that I think this is very much in line and very much doable with what we saw from the other home rule charters that we saw that we looked at in South Dakota. And I think the dates and being able to be prepared by November is both very doable and very appropriate to ensure that we are keeping cost savings with the elections and keeping public attention, because attention is short in the public. And so I think that we have a great opportunity to create lots of public meetings and public input and create an exciting short time frame where people can be engaged on this issue. So with that, I move approval.
Been moved and seconded. Yes, Tom?
Has it been,
It's been moved and
I
seconded.
just have a question then,
Sure.
as part of the discussion. And we talked about this in the past. There are going to be plenty of public hearings on this, given its importance, and room for explanation. Does this mean the charge could somehow, along the way, be amended or changed at all, do you think? And if so, would it have to come back here?
If I may. I think that the charge is, if you will, in my suggestion, a general guideline for the committee to work with. I think what relays to the committee is some dates that the council's expressed they'd like to have you meet. I think with regard to having public meetings, that was put in there that's an expectation. But I think as long as it's related to getting a home rule charter before the city council to consider and then ultimately the voters, I think that would fulfill the mission. So I mean, if they say we want to add these 10 words or whatever, I guess I would hope the committee would spend their time on working on the charter than on rewriting the charge.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. It passes. That's so much for new business. Now to bid openings, and we have janitorial services for the City of Vermillion facilities. And Jose, please.
Excuse me, thank you. Since February 2017, the city has contracted with a company, Service Masters of Southeast South Dakota, to do all the janitorial services for multiple city buildings. The original contract was for 1 year with the option for two one-year renewals. The last 1 year renewal with Service Masters of Southeast South Dakota will be expiring February 20th of this year. They have had the janitorial contract since the very beginning, since February 2017. The city requested bids from 4 cleaning services and published, as is required, the notice in the local newspaper. The city again sought bids for a 1 year agreement with options to two 1 year renewals. The city received 2 bids. The low bid was from Service Masters of Southeast South Dakota out of Yankton for $44,160.31. The other bid received was from Professional Pro Cleaners, or Pro Clean, from Rapid City for $47,888. The 2020 budget includes sufficient funding for the proposed janitorial service contract. Administration recommends accepting the low bid of $44,160.31 from Service Masters of Southeast South Dakota for janitorial services.
Thank you. Once again, I should ask the vast audience, any input? No? Council, any comments? Yes.
Jose, I was just scanning your memo real quick. What was the budget amount set for this?
For this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I think it was around $60,000 if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. Does that sound about right, Mike?
Maybe not quite that high,
But more than 44,000.
Yes, it was more than 44.
it had gone 3 years without an increase. There was
Yeah.
probably going to be
Okay.
something there.
So there's plenty of money in our budget line for this.
There should be plenty of money
Very
for
good.
this, yes.
I move approval.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thanks.
City Manager's report. John, please.
Just a couple of items. The Planning Commission will be meeting next Monday night, February 24th at 5:30. At this point, they have 2 items on their agenda. One is for a conditional use permit, and that'll be for an RV area at the Studio 13 property on West Cherry Street. And the second item is the City Planning Commission, County Planning Commission will be working with CCOG to update the comprehensive plan for the joint jurisdictional zoning area. Our tree board is set to have another meeting on Wednesday, February 26th at 9:30 a.m., so a week from tomorrow in the large conference room here at City Hall. And as was noted a couple minutes ago, we are seeking interested individuals to serve on the Home Rule Charter Committee. Expression of interest forms, as I noted, are available on the city's website or at City Hall. We do ask that those forms be completed, if possible, by noon, Thursday, February 27th, so that we can get the packet materials together for the City Council, and the City Council could make appointments at your next meeting on March 2nd.
Any questions for John? Okay. Moving on, we have the invoices payable. Any comments, questions about the current invoice? Okay, so moved and seconded, we pay our bills. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Please pay our bills. We have no consensus agenda, and... Okay. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we are adjourned.